Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 58. Again, we're going to be running through our analysis for this week and review what happened over last week. So we'll leave the annotations on here from our last market analysis just to give you an idea of where we're heading, and we can make some alterations as we go through each pair. So we're going to actually do the full pairs for this week because we're still confident with all of our pairs in where we're looking to go for. So without further ado, we'll take a look into gold. So for this pair, what we were looking at is essentially a push towards the upside and then some sort of retracement towards the downside. So as we can see, price has slowly made that move towards the upside, and now we can see there is a potential correction here involved. So what I'm looking at for now is to see how long this price action can fall towards the downside, because as we can see from last week, we are looking for buying opportunities. Now, whether price wants to come down just a bit lower and then take off, that's something that you can consider as a potential buying opportunity. Or the other scenario is price coming down all the way lower and deeper. Again, that's something that you're going to have to participate and look into this a bit further. But ultimately, the main setup for this week is a buying opportunity, and depending on how far this retraces, we can expect a push towards the upside, and ideally we want to see somewhere 1800 and beyond to be hit, because we've not actually touched on the 1800s just yet. So if we can get above 1800, this move towards the upside can become valid, and it could be a nice take profit level to secure some of your your profits. So that's pretty much where I want to go for with gold. Just as a last little thing as well, actually, if we go below this zone here, we could be looking at a bearish sentiment of the market, but as we can see, we are quite strongly pushing higher, so that shouldn't be of a worry for now. So we're still confident that we can push higher and be bullish. So taking a look into Euro USD, so what we were looking out for was price to make some sort of push towards the downside. So within the start of the week, we've had that push towards the upside, and then we've had some small minor corrections along the way, and now we can see that there is a continuation pushing on. So what we're looking at for now for this pair is for price to continue to push higher, and to see if we can make some more continuations. But we are looking at this level at 1.235 as a significant high. So what we're looking out for is to see if price can stay below this level. So that doesn't mean that we can't look for any buying opportunities. So what we could be doing is something like this, and then looking for something like that. So this essentially is waiting for price to exhaust before we wait for some sort of retest on these structures or any of these lower structures. And simply we would then just wait for price to find momentum to switch over, and then if we can find a buying position here, we can look for price to move into 1.235 as a nice level and a target. And of course, it really just depends how far we can get a corrective move to the downside. But there's something that we need to be aware of is if we can get this corrective move if within this low here, or if we have much a stronger correction, that's something that's still valid. So whether we get a corrective move to the downside here, or if we can get the corrective move towards to the downside just as 1.2, it's really something that needs to be looked into. So again, I look for the moves here, but it's up to you guys to determine when that actual low of the market is. So excuse me there. So yeah, so pretty much you just have to do your own due diligence here, but the main push for me is towards the upside for this week. And if we do get some sort of downside opportunity, this could be a good sell-off opportunity too. It really just depends how far this wants to push and retrace lower if it needs to do so. So ultimately, we're looking for buys, but you can also look at some counter trend moves as well. There could be a couple of 100 pips within that. So it's totally up to you guys how you want to play it. So yeah, we'll take a look at now Nzd Usd. So what we're looking out for here is a push lower. We're looking at that from last week. As we can see, we've had some sort of sideways movement. So whether the price wants to make a bit more of a push higher and then drop off, that's something that we can be mindful of. Again, it's just a scenario that we need to pay attention towards, because you know, the market can do anything it wants to do. It's just for us that we need to be attentive towards and making sure that we're you know, we don't try and miss the best opportunities in the market. So whether the price wants to make a push higher and do something like that and then drop off, or if price wants to you know, within the week just drop off, as so, you know, there's you know, they're equally valid trading ideas. It's up to you guys where you know, you take your sell position from, and obviously the more earlier on you take your sell, the more risk you take in the sense of your you know, it pushing higher. So something that you have to be mindful of, again, like I always say. But that's something that I'm personally looking out for. And for me, if price stays below 0.725 or this zone, I can be confident that we are pushing lower. If we do push higher, we could be looking at some sort of continuations up, etc. But not to worry, we will provide an update video for you guys for that in case it does do that. So moving on to AUD USD. So we can see here, like we've had that huge drop off into the market. We can look for some sort of retracement now, as we were anticipating a drop off. So we can wait for a level of retest. So we can see here there's a nice double top forming. Whether the price respects this level or if it starts to push higher, then that's totally up to the market for that to happen. But ideally, we want to see price push lower and to come into a nice psychological level of 0.75, and we could even look at price coming into 0.74. But again, that's a very optimistic level, and it's something that you know, you don't need to hold profits definitely towards that. You would want to be securing profits or moving or trailing your stop loss. You know, just play it safe. You don't have to take everything from the market. For me, it's about taking the opportunities and, you know, taking the best ones that that presents to us. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at for this week for AUD, and we are looking at 0.785 as the critical lower high, I think. Yeah, the lower high. So sorry, I always get confused on the higher highs and the higher lows, because I can't see it visually in my head. I think I actually spoke about this in my last one. Apologies if I spoke about the labels wrong, but I hope you understand what I mean, that if price goes above this zone, we should be able to push, we should be pushing higher. So but again, if that does happen, we will update you guys for you. So looking at UJ, this one has just been on the back of my mind for a long time. I've not really been participating into this pair. As you can see, there's been a lot of pips here to the downside, but you know, for me, what I am anticipating is just waiting for price to ultimately shift up. So as we can see, prices slowly pushing lower and lower, and all we need to do really is just stay patient with this one. And you know, majority of the pairs that we've discussed so far has always been, well, you know, we are looking for a certain push towards the upside because of this, and we've got a certain level in mind. For this pair, we're just ultimately waiting for a simple change towards the upside where we can clearly see that there's buys into the market here. And unfortunately, we didn't actually take the sell into the pair. Personally, because I thought the price was going to continuate higher, so we were looking for price moves to push higher, and we were looking for price to respect this level. But of course, as you can see, it's clearly blown through that, and now all we have to do simply is just wait for, you know, our next opportunity. And because it's on a higher time frame, we're going to have to wait for a higher time frame retest. So obviously that takes a lot of time. So again guys, if you are in the UJ trade, you know, good, and you are taking a sell, you know, this is looking very good. but I am looking for and waiting for the momentum to kick in. So we can see right now there is some sort of kick into the market right now. There is some sort of weakness here. Again, there is this divergence at play, so we can, some recognition here that we can take forward for the up and coming week, that we could potentially start to see changes towards the upside. So if we start to see price move towards the upside, all we're going to be doing then is waiting for a retest. So that's that's the process in mind where you want to take your buys from, and again, hopefully if we do see that scenario, that we can enter this as well. Excuse me, if we can see enter that as well. So yeah, that's definitely something that we need to be mindful of. We've got the EMAs clearly in the downside, so we've got all these ideas coming together. It's just now waiting for the market to shift for us. So pretty much just leaving UJ at the back of our mind for now. If we take a look at Cad Jpy now, so for me, what I am looking at for this pair is still a motion towards the downside, but I've got these levels here, 84 and around here too, so 86. So we can see we've had that clear blown of structure. What I was anticipating was price to turn around, but I don't think that's any case of right now. So what I'm actually looking into for this pair is ultimately just a move towards the upside at some point, but whether that we can break above this zone here or this higher 88.0, that's another question in itself. So what I am personally looking out for is something like this, where we get some sort of turnover to the downside. That's all I want to focus on for this week. I don't want to consider any other opportunity until we've broken this low, and I want to see how strong this downside momentum is, because if we take a look and create some sort of channel here, we can see how price is ultimately falling within a range here. So we can play within this range. So whether the price does something like this and then does something like that, that's something that I am considering. But again, it's something that you don't have to, there's no point trying to discuss the future moves after you need to make sure that you've got the next move sorted first. So for me, the next move that I want to see is some sort of push towards the upside, and then the main thing is that we're taking a sell opportunity towards the downside, and there's a good 150 pips there. So for me, that's a very good amount of reward that I want to take, and we could potentially look into 85 to 85.5 as a potential target. So let's just move this up for now, and we can look at that as a potential target. So moving on to EJ, let's take a look at what's been happening here. So we can see here that price has slowly been manipulating all of these highs right now. So I've actually got a change of bias for this pair, and to be honest, I should have done a separate video for this, but seeing as there is still some sort of confusion here, I feel like we can still make this create some sort of ideas for you guys for now. So what I'm looking at now is seeing how price is still capable of stepping up. What I'm looking at for is this is not exactly something that is on my hot list, if that kind of makes sense, if that makes any sort of clarification, that this is kind of one of the last sort of pairs that I'm looking to trade for now, just purely based on how price is performing over the last few weeks or so. It's nothing that's tempting towards or forcing me to trade or any of that sort, but what we could potentially see is some sort of price do something like this and continue to step up. I'm not looking to overcomplicate this for now, but what I can say is that for the next time that we do update EJ, I want to have some sort of some sort of confidence, where I am looking to trade this definitely within the next day or potentially within the week. So for now, this is more of the on the back end of my setups, it's nothing. It's not ranked in my top 3 for now. My setups for now for this pair is very much in the indecision play. So we can see here it's very choppy. There's nothing really that's paying attention to me. However, we can scale in on these ranges here because it's a good 100 or so pips within this. So there's a lot of pips always to be made. But for now, I'm just taking a step back from EJ. So moving on to Nzd Jpy. For me, for this pair, I'm looking for moves towards the downside. You will have to excuse all of these alerts in play for now. But ideally, what we were looking at for last week is ultimately a retracement here. So some sort of push towards the upside, which we are starting to see here. So whether the price starts to push higher within the week, we can still look for some sort of hedge play in the sense where we can use the higher time, we can use the higher trend and wait for a lower entry. So ultimately, as long as we stay below this height in the market, so for me it would be around there, around this high here. Oh, excuse me, get rid of that. As long as we stay above this level here, we should be able to continue to push lower. So this could be potentially your valid stop loss if you did want to put it that high. But again, I am looking to push lower here, and if we see price go above this level, then we could be expecting to push higher within the market. But for now, I'm seeing how there's the strong momentum kicking in here. I'm liking how prices play pushing lower and pushing lower. So again, it's just a matter of trying to find a sell. So whether the price pushes higher or lower within the week, we can look for those continuations on in throughout the week. So that's something that we can be mindful of. Looking at Aud Jpy, let's take a look at this one. So what we can see here is price doing a similar sort of thing with Nzd Jpy as well. We can see how price has made some sort of turning point. So if we have a look at where this was, so last week we were looking at for price to push up and then have that drop off in the market. So if you did manage to get in on this trade, then that was a good one. But not to worry if you did miss out. Like I said, there's always the second opportunity. And now that we can see that price is clearly stepping lower here just by this strong candle, all we have to do now is just wait for a retest. So whether the price wants to push higher or if it wants to continue to drop off, that's totally up to the market, and that's something that you would have to be mindful of, again, like I always say. But we could be looking at price to push lower into 82. So again, for this pair, it's about 200, just under 200 pips. So something that you can be mindful of and to look out for. So looking at our last two pairs is USD Chef. So again, for this one's actually been playing around as well, like UJ. This one has just been continuously pushing lower and lower and lower. So for me, I'm not looking to, FOMO into this trade. It would have been great. I believe I was looking out for this in the last few weeks or so at the beginning of April, but of course we can see we just didn't manage to catch on to this one. But again, that's part of the game. So what we can expect for moving forward from this. So like I said, we can always look at the next opportunity, and as we can see, as we're falling into 0.91, we simply just have to wait for price to do its thing. Wait for price to push lower and then have that shift higher, and then wait for a retest and push on. And that's just the beauty of trading, in the sense of if you do miss a trade, you can always look at another pair, and that's why I never fixate myself on one pair only. That's because if you do miss out on a trade, excuse me, for whatever reason, you can always look at another pair and it may be turning over with much more of a clearer picture, if that makes sense. So like I said, it's not always about, there are traders out there who just trade one pair, and I totally respect it. But for me, I do like to I do like to see more trading opportunities throughout the week, and rather than fixating myself on one pair, look at a wide spread. So that's why we do these full market analysis, just to give you an insight of the pairs that we watch, and to give you some sort of indication of the amount of opportunities there are. So if you do look at every single one of our full market analysis videos, you will notice something, that we always have opportunities there. So if you feel like you're FOMOing into trades, look at our analysis in the sense of how many opportunities that we can spot in the market week in, week out. It's not always about, on the day, if you miss that trade, you shouldn't beat yourself up about that. It's all about coming into the week with the positivity to perform and to execute every single day. It's all about taking it step by step, and you're not going to be a millionaire overnight, but it is definitely possible to make a lot of money through this market. And the only way that you can make money through this market is to be very disciplined and not wasting your capital on worthless trade because someone said, even if it was my personal trade that has been called out and I'd made the analysis wrong, you shouldn't have put all of your account on that one trade. It's all about taking it step by step. But again, it's the harsh reality of trading, and not many people like to hear that. But again, it's the truth of trading. And if you want to listen, if you want to be around, fake expectations, then by all means go for it. It's not my sort of thing to get involved with. But again, there is lots of ways to make money in the market, and it's all about opportunities. So again, this is partly why I do these videos, to kind of show you more of the insights of what I'm seeing in the market. So hopefully this can have some sort of effect on your own trading and give you the best ideas for the up and coming week. So looking at the final pair for this week is USD Cad. So won't talk on this too much, but what we were looking at for last week was a push into the upside at some point, and then with having that drop off into the market. Now we can see price has made some sort of push towards the upside, and I did say that this was some sort of critical high here, but now that we can see prices broken above it, we can move this lower. We've had that huge drop here, and it was just unfortunate that we couldn't get in onto this. But the beauty, as I always say about trading, is you can always catch on the next opportunity. You just have to wait. As long as you're patient enough, it's definitely doable. So we can see prices making some sort of rejection here. So whether the price, I've got two sort of scenarios here actually. So whether the price rejects this and starts to retrace higher, we can look for some sort of sell-off opportunity here, or if price wants to do something like this and then pushes up, we can look out for something like that. So these are the two sorts of scenarios that I'm looking for and paying attention to for USD Cad. But I'm liking this strength in the market towards the downside, and we can potentially head into 1.235, which we were looking to anticipate from a long time ago. So seeing as we had some sort of recovery here, we can still see that with this strength in the market here, is still pushing towards the downside. So I am looking at this in the sense of some sort of sell-off opportunity. But yeah, we'll see if we can get in on this and make some pips onto this pair. So a pretty long one today. We've had pretty much discussed all of the pairs for this week, so we're not going to discuss any pairs for tomorrow. Again, I do appreciate your time for watching. If you are new to this channel, we do have a trading group that you can join. Again, that link is in the description. And if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So feel free to contact me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you all in our next video.